The thing is, artificial intelligence just exploded. And I'm going to ask you first a few questions, activate you a bit. Then I'm going to tell you a few things, and then I'm going to get back to this agile stuff. Because the theme of this conference or this track is revive, renew, rediscover. And what's to rediscover in artificial intelligence is brand new, right? Not that new. I did artificial intelligence for my master's thesis, and it was a long time ago. But, OK. I have some questions for you guys, and by raise of hands, I would like to answer them. So who remembers the first time they heard of ChatGPT? Just remember it. Yeah, quite a few people remember that. OK. Does anyone know what llama is? And not the animal. OK, so that llama is the ChatGPT, but from Meta, and it's an open source model. So it's something that's like, you can use it, and you can tune it for yourself, and you can do amazing stuff with that, because it's open source. Have you heard or used other LLMs ever? Right? Large language models. Anyone used something which is called Midjourney, for example? It's not a language model, but still generative AI. OK, some people did. Cool. And how many times have you used LLMs or other form of generative AI for your work? Once? OK, few people. Twice? 5 times? More than 5 times? OK, some people are still using it, like continuously. Yeah, I still see some hands raised. That's interesting because I've read recently that a lot of users start using ChatGPT and they trail off after 6 uses. Why would that be? Right? They stop using it after using it for 6 times to asking the prompts. Why would that be? I'm guessing it has something to do with us being at the very peak. Anyone knows the Gartner hype cycle? Right? Some people do. So this is basically what describes the evolution of a technology. And right now, generative AI, so what we know as ChatGPT, is somewhere up here at the very peak of inflated expectations. Some time ago, because I was interested in it, I couldn't get on LinkedIn or X without getting hit with, we won't need developers in 5 years, we will not need journalists, we will not need this and that, yada, yada. Because we are at the peak of the hype cycle. And I got onto the bandwagon too, right? I actually asked my wife if I could have a lot of money to buy an amazing gaming rig, not for gaming, but for very legitimate artificial intelligence uses, to train models and stuff, and I wanted to invest in it heavily. Fortunately, my home CFO said, no, you need to find an alternative. And that was a good thing for me, because it cooled me down a bit. And brought me back to reanalyze that I can't actually be a lone wolf doing AI, and probably need a few other things. But what's wrong with the hype cycle, right? Well, not the hype cycle, but the place we're in. Basically, first of all, you have some innovation triggers. So you have some people in it, and they have a lot of knowledge about what the technology is, so they start using it. Then it explodes, and we have this will change the world, this will be completely different than everything else. And then comes the disillusionment, and maybe enlightenment, and then productivity. So we might start using it productively in a few years. So why disillusionment? Because people get discouraged using ChatGPT. Why? Well, first of all, it can't even do basic math. People would expect it could, but doesn't seem like it does. So take a look at this. I have never seen a number written this way, right? 12, 85, 520. What the hell? It's like, is this supposed to, I'm supposed to trust this tool? No, come on, really. Other than that, many people have tried to train LLMs to actually play chess. They fed them multiple books on chess and chess strategies. And you know what? The LLMs can't even follow the basic rules, the basic moves. They hallucinate different moves. Oh, hallucinate, do you know that word for the AI? This is something that AIs do on a normal basis. If they don't know something, they can make it up, like school children, more or less. Like, 5 years old, if I don't know it, I'll just make it up and it'll be cool. You have to tell it explicitly. If you don't know it, don't make it up, right? It feels like talking to a human, actually. We might, from the disillusionment, we might come into the enlightenment. So maybe we will be able to use the generative uses, connect them with other types of AI or other systems which will help it be better, right? We might, take a look at the use cases and figure out, okay, maybe it's not code generation, but maybe writing test cases or, continuous integration or something in design or somewhere else. It's not necessarily where we thought originally the main advantage of this could be. Maybe it's automated code reviews, for example, right? Not necessarily testing. The enlightenment also means that we will integrate it with other technologies. I don't know. This is very bad at following rules, and we need to follow rules because, for example, this is a system for doing some legal work. Maybe we'll integrate it with some other technology, which is great at that, like the semantic web. This is something that is very good at following rules and making inferences, but not really great at being creative. We really don't know what the enlightenment looks right now. So that's a big question mark. We're in this space where we just don't know how to make this productive, right? So the game changer of the technology is this technology showed us that computers can not only follow instructions as we designed them, like algorithms, right? Do this, do that, if this, then that, maybe something more complicated, maybe some randomness in it. The game changer in AI is that this is a device, this is something that can not follow instructions. This is a computer that doesn't follow instructions. It's basically feels like it's creative. There are people who say that AI can be creative, some say that it cannot. Many different assumptions come from that. But the game changer is, how do we deal with computers which do not follow rules? We can't even do it well with computers which do follow the rules exactly, right? So how do we assure that what we deliver to our customers is actually what they need? How can we assure that what we've trained will deliver that? How can we test for that? How can we, figure out what is it actually we need to develop? And I found myself, I wanted to do like an AI on Saturdays and on Sundays, which would help my wife in her work, right? So it would read like lengthy documents and digest them and do stuff. And I figured out, while it is deceivingly simple to feed an LLM with a PDF and then chat with it, because there are already like ready-made programs which can do that, to guarantee that it does it in a way that is actually usable, that's a big feat. And for that, you probably need to define the use case, use the currently available tools, see how the users respond, go back to number one, and preferably also assemble a team, because you by yourself probably will not make it, right? So it is actually, from that point of view, when I thought of that, what I would do, maybe it's my bias, being a Scrum Master / Agile coach, whatever, but it's my bias. We already have tools for that. The tools, Scrum, this is meant to be for empiricism. I know, I encourage you to take a look at the Scrum guide. It does talk about empiricism. So learning about stuff via experience, figuring stuff out as you go. Kanban, well, we've heard it can be great for delivery, but we can also use it to explore, to figure out what bets we have, to figure out what we need to, how do we need to flow through the system to get the fastest response and learn from it. This is how we get to the enlightenment, through the enlightenment to productivity. because we will make multiple small bets, figure out that what works, what doesn't. How do we assure the quality of what we're building? That's the way we can do it, right? I already have the tools in my belt. You can also use something called shape-up. That's even better. That's even more interesting because it starts with thinking and like we're betting on something, giving people some time, and then taking a look at the outcomes of the experiment. So basically, if you are a Scrum Master or an Agile coach, does AI change a lot for you? I would say yes, because you need to rediscover the tools you're using. Because most of us work in companies where Scrum, Kanban, other methods are used for delivering something that's more or less obvious. But turn it on its head. Try to think about it as something that you can do and rediscover the frameworks you're using. Because in this new world of artificial intelligence, or anything else that will come along in a few moments, what you can do from your side is help your company, your users, by harnessing the innovation and giving them the tools to basically learn and adapt and be able to figure out what the next step is to move things from being very vague and risky to something that is actually usable and can be used multiple times in a very valuable way. So be the change you would like to see in the world. That's, I think, the end of it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for the talk, and thank you for all your questions. Starting with the first one. How many times you used AI in your work?
Yeah, I believe I used it something like 5 or 6 times, more or less. What
A day?
Sorry?
A day?
No, 5 or 6 times actually for my own work. I used an LLM to do to experiment, to try stuff out, to try to chat with PDFs, for example. So we'll upload the PDF, but I myself, for my work at mBank at the Agile Center, one of the uses was to create an innovative mission statement for our Agile Center. Right, that was interesting, but it was just more of a thing of curiosity. Yeah, didn't really help me move along a lot.
Thank you. The most popular one currently, using LLMs for test generation have been done. What do you think of using LLMs to generate user stories?
Amazing, yes. At some point I was thinking about, we could have an LLM which could be the product owner, an LLM who would be the developer, because we already have code generation, like very, very good tools, and then probably somebody to make them talk, so the Scrum Master, right? So that could work. I don't know. Yeah, but this is, what I find with AI, it's very simple to fall into to a little trap, because it can take the burden off of you, because it will write the user stories. But the problem is the same level of thinking. It won't get the same level of thinking. It's the same thing as if you have a Miro board, and right now you can generate the concise text from that, the summary from that. The problem is that the card itself, the card is meant to have a conversation. The summary from a discussion comes into the card. So if we use an LLM to generate a user story, it will be very understandable for the LLM. Not sure if it will be usable for humans, right? It might help, it might jumpstart something, so experiment with that. But that's my biggest question mark.
Next one, which personally for me is quite funny. How much of this presentation was done using AI?
0. No, not 0. There is one slide which was actually done by AI. This one. That's the only image I threw in using AI. So yeah, for somebody who talks about AI, I use relatively little of it. That's because I know how troublesome it can be, because I've done it in the past, right?
So you're actually reaching the next question. Any comments on continuous use of generative AI in art, design successfully in commercial application, which is new reality?
Well, that's a very broad question. The first question is, what about the artists? AI was like computers were supposed to take off the heavy burdens from us so that we could do the creative stuff, and now AI is taking over the creative stuff, right? I don't really have a good answer to that. LLMs or the stable diffusion algorithms right now don't have a really. They are not very unique in what they're doing. They're basically trying to copy the art they've been fed with, right? So if you take a look at this question mark, it probably had in it some kind of a reference to something similar. But I understand there is work going on into making it different, changing it up, so that actually those different architectures can be more creative, so that they will do more. Plus, there is this thing called multimodal intelligence, so something that will be able to learn by just looking, right? So you integrate analyzing vision with actually generating stuff. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen. Hopefully, artists will still be there, but maybe a lot of the artwork that would be like template or generic will go the way of using AI, basically, right?
And we still have time for the final one. How AI can improve productivity of Scrum team and help Scrum Masters?
Yes, that is up to you to discover. What I would say is, we've already heard how it can help with generating code. Beware, there will be bugs. How it can help with generating test cases. Maybe that can help. Generally, there are a multitude of ways which you can use it with. If you can feed it your own data. Remember, if you're working in a company, probably you shouldn't upload your data into the cloud. Not the best idea, but if you had a local instance of something small, some of the LLMs or AIs, basically, or personalities, as some call them, can help with heavy lifting of big sets of data in an intelligent way. So that's actually an interesting use case. For me as a Scrum Master, it's usually hard to to just gather the data from everywhere, extract it from Jira or whatnot. And an LLM can be a really helpful friend there. So experiment, try it out. Tell me what results you have.
Thank you so much, and I wish us all a great future with using AI for our common good.